Good morning, Year 7. This is Miss Lawson on behalf of the English Department bringing you your another days of English lessons. Hopefully everyone's been doing really well, received some fantastic work, and I know that my other colleagues have also, so really well done. It's a fantastic new start to a new school as Year 7s. It's not obviously the ideal scenario for us all to be starting a new school, but you are doing so well. And within a couple of days, with any luck, we will be seeing each other. That is the plan as it stands at the moment. So with that in mind, if you aren't sending work in but you are carrying out the work at home, do so by yourself and keep it all neat and tidy. You don't need to necessarily send it in to the teachers unless your teacher has specifically asked you to send it in, because obviously it's not going to be like home learning before summer. We are going to, with any luck, see each other very, very soon. So keep everything nice and safe and keep being as proactive and as enthusiastic as you have been. So really well done. Okay, so let's just have a little recap of what we've studied so far. Myths and illusions. You've been looking at creatures, you've been looking at creating your own creatures in terms of myths, and you'll be understanding what a myth is and the different types of myth. Michian very kindly has uploaded a lesson a couple of days ago for quite a few of you, looking at Pandoras Box, and this lesson here is following on from that. Now there are some classes that haven't actually studied Pandoras Box and the myth of Pandoras Box quite yet. That is absolutely okay. This is going to follow on if you have, but it's also going to cover things if you haven't. So get yourself your books and your pens and let's get started. So before we can carry on, obviously this term's scheme of work or topic is myths and allusion. Really crucial that you don't get the word illusion and allusion confused. They are two different words. They can obviously be interchanged sometimes, but let's just think about a literary allusion. It's an expression or an idea designed to call something to mind without mentioning it explicitly. An indirect or passing reference is made to something. So if, for instance, I was going to make, and this is probably not a very good literary allusion, I'm going to allude to my classroom. I'm not going to say the word classroom. I'm going to say it's a square room. It's got tables and chairs where people learn. I'm not using the word classroom, but I'm alluding to my classroom. Now, obviously, that, like I said, is a very clunky version, a very clunky example, because when people are writing and they use it in books, they use it in a very, very skillful, magical way. So if we've got these two examples here, what I would like you to do is just pause this video. I'm going to give you two examples, and can you think of which stories these two come from? Obviously, they've not mentioned the name of the story, but they're alluding to something, they're hinting at something, they're making you as the reader think, that's alluding to that other story. So have a pause and have a think. The first example is if we say someone was a real Scrooge. So perhaps you know someone who is very tight with their money. They look after their money. They're not frivolous. They don't spend it. They keep it. You might say they're a real Scrooge. So what we're learning about that person, and then what story would we be making an allusion to? I'm not saying the name of the story by saying someone is a Scrooge, but I am alluding to a story. So which story am I alluding to? And the second one, it's been raining for 40 days and 40 nights. Again, could you write down, can we think of a story that is referring to or alluding to or hinting to? You might hear this from your grandparents or your parents as the summer kind of draws on and draws close, and we're obviously getting towards winter and autumn. You might be hearing that term coming up more and more. So pause this video and answer those two questions. Can you name those two stories that I am alluding to? Okay, so within the Pandora's Box that most of you have studied, you came across a character called Prometheus. You actually came across Prometheus, Epimetheus, and Pandora. I'm really pleased I could say Epimetheus. It's been a very long day, and I'm quite proud of myself. If you want a little giggle, sometimes you can say it out loud. So we're really looking today at Prometheus because it's quite crucial that we look at him, and we're going to make sure we just understood this story about how he created humankind, and then we're going to see an author who, in hundreds of years later, has alluded to the story of Prometheus. It's very, very cleverly done. So let's just recap for ourselves, for those people that aren't sure. The story of Prometheus, Epimetheus, and Pandora is a popular myth of ancient Greece. It's been told and retold through the ages of several variations. It's a myth that recounts the creation of man and woman, as well as the birth and the enlightenment of the unleashing of misery. Because remember, Pandora opened that box, and out came all sorts of horrific and horrendous things. It's basically that Prometheus was given the task of creating man and beasts, along with his brother. However, his brother seems to be kind of more rash and impulsive and not really think about the future, and so he created all the animals, whereas Prometheus created the humans. And Prometheus toiled really diligently, so he worked really well. He worked consistently and hard, and he paid lots of attention to it. And just out of a lump of clay, he created these people. And he did it in the image of gods, so he wanted the humans to look like gods, and he allowed them to walk upright. However, Prometheus, his brother, was rash, and he did not think about the future. He gave all the gifts to the animals, so that humans weren't left with anything. Actually, if you think about it now, that's actually true to life, isn't it? If you think about cheetahs and elephants and tigers and how strong and swift and frightening they can be, and actually humans, we don't actually have many ways to protect ourselves. We're quite small and not overly strong. So actually this myth, remember myths aren't real, but this is one way to explain that, isn't it? That someone sat down and made this myth. Okay, so Prometheus was overcome with sadness for his creations. So he looked at these humans that he had created, and they were living painfully and harshly on earth, and Prometheus devised a plan to bestow upon a man a great gift that will make them formidable against the beasts of the earth. What you need to do, if you are those that, in fact everyone, if you wouldn't mind pausing this video, have a read through the actual story. All you're going to read of Pandora's Box is page 1 and page 2. Okay, have a read through, and we're going to then do a chart and task and have a look at Prometheus himself and see if we like him, see what kind of character we think he is, and then we can carry on. Okay, so hopefully you paused the video. If not, the PowerPoint will be attached on your emails for you. So like we said, we've reread the opening Pandora's Myth. Some of you it will be the first time, but that's absolutely fine. And what I'd like you to do now is we're just going to take you about 10 minutes of your day, of your lesson, to write down the positive characteristics of Prometheus. Some of those words, like I've said, like the word diligent, for instance, you may need to go and use a thesaurus if you have a phone or a laptop or an actual paper version of thesaurus. You can look up those twist words. But there'll be positive characteristics that even you'd be able to understand. Okay, because he seems quite kind, for instance, you could write kind. But then there are negative characteristics of Prometheus. Can you find any? He's going about creating humans out of clay. So there's going to be negative and positive. So pause this video, take probably 10 minutes, read through those extracts again, and see if you can find some positive and negative characteristics. Okay, so another 5-minute task here once you've done that. Now this is where we get to the story. This is the latest story, the story that's the most recent, that's been written by an author. Not yesterday, obviously, but much more recent than the myth. And we're going to see the illusion between the two stories, the similarities where this story here is hinting. So pause this video, 5 minutes. What do you know about the character of Frankenstein? I'm going to give you a clue. Frankenstein was the scientist. The monster was Frankenstein's monster. Many people turn up at secondary school getting those two confused, so please don't worry. And if you didn't know that before, now you can say you've learnt something today. For 2 minutes, what do you know about Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster? Right, and your third and final task for today's lesson. There's going to be 2 YouTube clips here that I'm going to put on your emails for you. One is all about Prometheus, and one is all about Frankenstein. See what we're doing here? We're comparing the two. One is a very old story and a myth, and one is a newer story. And we're going to see the similarities of the things that are the same and things that are different. Okay, this is going to be a long line of lessons, and the next 3 lessons are going to be covering this, Prometheus and Frankenstein. So it's really crucial that you will have that chart finished and you'll have that chart finished. And we have included 2 lovely clips. The clips are only about 2 minutes long, for you to sit down and compare between the 2 different characters. Like I said, unless your teacher has actually specifically asked you to send it in. There's no need to send it in, not unless you're really proud of something or you want to make sure that you've done something correct, in which case, by all means, we are here often between 7:30 in the morning till 5 o'clock tonight, and we can answer those emails for you. But actually, because it's a chain of lessons, there's 3 lessons here leading up to a final task, there isn't any need. I know lots of people have been signed up to Teams, which is a way that we upload work at Samuel Ward, and some of you are still struggling with that. So however you feel comfortable is the way that we need to go, because obviously your safety, your happiness and your learning is the whole reason why we're here. So those 3 tasks, get those done for me today, and I will look forward to speaking to you soon. Okay, take care.